All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center. My name is Quentin Ring. I'm Beyond Baroque's Executive Director. We're very excited. Thank you, Brendan. I appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome to the Wanda Coleman Theater. Also, we are very excited tonight to have with us Katherine Williams. It's going to be a great reading. She's back in LA. We also have with us Brendan Constantine, Matthew Mars, Eliot Douglass, Philip Littell. It's going to be a great evening. We're really excited about it. We'll get to the program in just a second. Did want to start, as we think it's important to do here, by acknowledging Beyond Baroque's presence here on Tongva land. We acknowledge the wrong done to indigenous peoples through settler colonialism and violent genocidal practices. And we recognize the presence of indigenous communities still with us here in Los Angeles and want to uphold and uplift their art, their narratives, and their stories. Yes. Beyond Baroque is very much a literary arts center. We are, in fact, LA's oldest literary arts center. We are dedicated to the possibilities of language, and we fulfill our mission through writing workshops, readings and performances. We have a bookstore, we have an archive, we have an art gallery, and we pretty much have workshops every week. Our Monday night fiction workshop runs on Zoom every Monday. Our Wednesday night poetry workshop on Zoom as well every Wednesday. Many weekends we have master classes, and we have reading and performances right here in this theater, usually 2 or 3 or 4 every week. Mostly poetry readings, but fiction, nonfiction, sometimes some performance art, sometimes some film, sometimes some music. So we do a lot here. We keep very busy. Did want to mention that tomorrow we have a dual program, which should be pretty interesting. In the afternoon, we have the opening of our new exhibit, 17 Place Vendôme, which is, you can see the collages on the wall and upstairs in the Mike Kelly Gallery. This is work done by the artist and scholar Vincent Johnson, tracing the development of the art world in the 18th century France. It's done a lot of original research, demonstrating a lot of what we understand as the modern art world. Our conceptions around art was massively funded and financed by the slave trade. It's very much shaped the development of both the aesthetics and the material reality of arts. That's something we still, I think, would be well served to think about today. And so he'll be lecturing as well at 3:30 tomorrow. The opening will be from 2 to 5. In the evening, we have a book launch for Diana Koi Gwen. She's going to be joined by a great roster of readers. She's a fabulous poet, so you can stick around for the evening for that. Ton of other great programs coming up as well. Check our website, www.beyondbaroque.org. But really, please, if you have it, a little extra money on you, please do consider becoming a member of Beyond Baroque. Arts organizations are kind of facing a crunch right now. Everyone was sort of gotten a little bit of help during the pandemic to get us out of the pandemic. But across the board, where everybody's losing funding at the moment. So if you're able to become a member, it costs as little as $60. And if you become a member, you get free admission. If we're charging to events, you get a discount in our bookstore and our workshops. You help keep events like this free, and you also will get a tote if you would like one. So you can see Genesis in the bookstore about that, or you can sign up online. Beatitude, who's I think clapping here, just became a member tonight, so thank you. We appreciate it. I should also say, please do buy our authors' books. We have Katherine's book. We have several of Brendan's. I'm sure they'd be willing to sign them after the show. It's just a great way to support the authors, and hopefully we'll encourage them to come back and read with us again. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our MC for the evening, who is also going to be performing tonight. He is a longtime friend of Beyond Baroque. He is a tremendous singer, all-around wonderful MC. Please give it up for Philip Littell to take us through the rest of the evening. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. So backstage, it's just been dirty pool all the time. And so we have coerced Brendan Constantine to open the show. And he left us a little paragraph. You all know who he is. Yeah. But he's a poet based in Los Angeles. He's the author of 5 collections of verse. His work has appeared in many standards, including Poetry, The Nation, Best American Poetry, and Poem a Day. He currently teaches at the Windward School and with the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. Since 2017, he's been developing workshops for writers living with aphasia and traumatic brain injuries. Good Lord. And also, he's kind of the one who's organized this evening, who's brought us all together, has encouraged us to show up for Katherine Williams. Well, that was enough ado. Brendan Constantine, where are you?
Hello. That was a hell of an introduction, wasn't it? Frankly, I'm already disappointed, aren't you? I mean, that's... Short poem by A.E. Housman. Into my heart an air that kills from yon far country blows. What are those blue remembered hills? What spires, what farms are those? That is the land of lost content. I see it shining plain. The happy highway is where I went and cannot come again. Yes. I'm going to start with a poem that's basically made up of all of the poems that I won't be reading. This is called The Poem for R. The poem on the lake, the poem with a checkered blanket, the poem in which a great painting is described and then sold at auction, leaving the poem empty, unreadable. The poem in which the moon compares itself to people and their things. The poem about a cow named Alan. The poem shaped like a field. The poem in which Christ pockets all of the money donated in his name and walks off, muttering to himself. The poem with room for milk and sugar, the poem in its mid-50s, the poem written in a strict form based on the stages of grief, emphasizing meter and denial. The poem in which a dog returns to say, love is a kind of tennis ball thrown into the night, a thing glowing in grass, just enough to find it, but still faint enough to be lost with no blame. There is no blame, the dog says. You were busy and I didn't live long. Be happy we met at all. The poem made of red cups, the poem written on a hat, the poem prescribed by a doctor who makes a second appointment to read it to you under supervision. The poem tied up in traffic, the poem in which the word skull is capitalized, the poem punishable by song. The poem in which hyperbole is pronounced so incorrectly, people actually die. The poem that doesn't end with the ghost of a dog, the poem of exquisite regret, the poem that delivers itself on the way to the hospital, the poem of swift justice, the poem of just swiftness, the poem lovely as the letter R. Thank you. Now my impression of Dante at the open mic. Good evening, I just have 3 poems. That's like an old, my dad liked that joke. That's the only reason I'm telling that thing. So, this is called a tour de force. I got a book and can't make myself read it. Even though my lover swears it's good, even though the cover says we might all beautifully belong somewhere. Imagine if everything you saw was printed inside your skull where people could see it after you died. When you do a lot of cocaine, it feels like that's true. Like the gallery is struggling to stay open because pipes keep breaking and the floor is always wet. That's what I remember anyway. It's been a while since I had enough money to be that beautiful and echoing. Of course, you can't find anything in my head that looks like a sunset or a toy horse. It's all just goo in there. That's what memories become. dark water and milk. You could no more read it back than you could drink the ink from a novel and know who loved who. Just a few more. The title of this poem refers to that technique in painting that sort of enabled so much more painting, that trick of the eye where the painter would sort of trick us into understanding a two-dimensional image in three dimensions. Trompe l'œil. But this is for a different kind of rendering. Trompe l'œil. Who was first to trace a dead body in chalk? No one seems to know. One book says it started as a courtesy for the press, a way to photograph a murder without the murder. But who was first to do it? And why did they have chalk with them that day? It isn't procedure anymore, as it contaminates the scene. But an officer told me sometimes people go ahead and trace the body before he even gets there. They've seen it on TV and think it helps. He says police call this a visit from the chalk fairy. That's true. And once he said there was a witness who couldn't find anything to trace with, so he used popcorn and candy, which he later recovered and ate during questioning. I can't decide if that's artistic genius or just the loneliest thing I've ever heard. Nor can I stop thinking about that first man, because of course it was a man who took chalk from a sandwich board or a frightened bartender. I can see him, a beat cop, bored but earnest, a young man with time to kill, while a village doctor dressed in the dark and drove to town. I'm going to skip one and start to cut to the end here. I'm going to do one more of my own, and then I'm going to close with a Katherine Williams poem, and I'm going to tell you something about it. But this is a recent one. My mom is at home with a caregiver right now, so that I could be here with you, and she just had a pretty serious episode, and it happened while I was away at a retreat, and she called me from the hospital and said, "Don't come home. It's too important that you're writing, and just stay where you are." And I was like, "No, don't." And she said, just stay there. And I was up in Oregon, and so of course, like, you hang up from that, it's like you look at the blank page. Oh, great! Yes, I'll just knock off a masterpiece now. So. Anyways, this is a poem. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was having these terrible phone calls with hospitals, and so I just started writing down what was happening. This is called "There is Blood on Your Mother's Brain." I hold my phone like you would if a stone started talking, warily, ready to drop it should it ask for blood. There is blood on your mother's brain, it says. Not a lot, but we want you to know. There's no compression, it says, no risk to any structures. We want to keep her longer. So do I say, and wonder what structures I'd find in my mother's brain. The house where she grew up, the convent school, the rowboat she loved on Misery Bay. All of them bright, but for a little blood, not enough to feed a stone. Do you have any questions? The stone asks. I do. How do we clean up the blood? Will it stain her days? If more blood comes, can she get in the boat? It's a difficult time, the stone says, but she's in good hands. I look at mine, the lines in them like channels, each one crossed by another. There. Thank you. So I'm going to close with this poem by Katherine. I asked her, please give me a poem of yours to read tonight. And she said, well, okay, maybe we can sort of tease people, because I think you said this poem's not actually in the book, right? Is that right, Katherine? Oh, it is? Okay, fantastic. I misunderstood. I was homeschooled. I wasn't actually. Sorry, But we weren't sure if there was going to be enough copies of her book this evening for everybody, so I made some broadsides of this poem, and they're available. They're going to be available in the bookstore. There's only 4 of these. Katherine has signed them, so if you're not able to get a book tonight, maybe pick up one of these, and you can. Genesis has a stand of them in the bookstore. Okay, last poem. Here we go. This library does not lend. There were so many wigs in New York back then. Street corners on fire under pretzels and chestnuts, windows giving on to blue-blooded helium. Here I thrummed into Apex and the hard limp of cocaine. Bronzes and mannequins posed all over, tin curls grafted onto dark roots, wind tunnels battered Longo or Pollock, and glassy lights opened wide against my face. My Russian taxista declaimed the death of Lenin. In his rearview mirror, I shifted my itchy wig. Just as autumn stepped into its urn, all the wigs of New York descended on Alphabet City for the first ever of whatever it was that was there. In black cocktail gowns and rusty wigs, some angels shivered in the dirt. Stories above a vacant lot, I lay rumpled in greasy sheets as car horns shifted, pixelating from red to green to yellow through a window spattered in sooty rain. Tongue rank with another beginner angel, my pillow a t-shirt stuffed with wigs. They still test me, obsolete subway token, crumbling copy of the Village Voice with its annotated free and under $2.50, ragged Cocteau double feature ticket stub, the wind down those tall avenues, all those wigs trending toward the clouds. Katherine Williams, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Everyone wishes they could read their poems like you, Brendan. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay, Matthew Mars is next. Yes. He founded the Sacred Beverage Press with Amélie Frank, my heart, publishing and editing the acclaimed literary journal Blue Satellite, as well as books by Ellen Mabey. God, he has taste. The Karma Bums, Frank Isle, and Erica Erdman, among others. A poet himself, extensively published and anthologized, his 4 chapbooks include God, the Motion Picture, Dance of the Iguana Press. He is the former frontman of alternative pop bands The Clear and Superman Loses the Girl. He has had 2 solo shows of his photography at Beyond Baroque, and his current work can be seen at MatthewMarsPhotography.com. Let's welcome this man.
Well, I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times they've been forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. In America, you get food to eat. Won't have to run through the jungle and scuff up your feet. You'll just sing about Jesus and drink wine all day. It's great to be an American. Ain't no lion, no tiger, ain't no mamba snake, just the sweet watermelon and the buckwheat cake. Everybody is as happy as a man can be. Climb aboard, little wog, sail away with me. Sail away, sail away. We will cross the mighty ocean into Charleston Bay. Sail away, sail away. We will cross the mighty ocean into Charleston Bay. In America, every man is free to take care of his home and his family. You'll be as happy as a monkey in the monkey tree. We all gonna be an American. Sail away, sail away. We will cross the mighty ocean into Charleston Bay. Sail away, sail away. We will cross the mighty ocean into Charleston Bay. That's a song by Randy Newman, and this is a song by myself that I'm going to sing karaoke to my own track because I'm such a terrifically bad guitar player. So this is a song called Icarus, the Lindbergh Baby. Anytime, sure, by all means, hit it. It has a long intro, so I get to stand here and look at me. Oh, Lord have mercy. Hold on. We have a technical issue. I'm going to go fix it real fast. Don't go away. Stay with us.
Totally with you. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Because Icarus, the Lindbergh Baby. Why don't you just think about that for a second, metaphorically? Right? Yep. I was still a human thing, not a hurricane. Rise above the river, rise above the rain. When I was still a human child, I taught myself to fly. I flew above the treetops, I danced upon the sky. My daddy was an aviator. I'm an aviator too. When trouble comes, I'm gonna fly away, 'cause that's what aviators do. Fly away. found my body. Tethered to the earth. There were ashes in the atmosphere and in the ozone and in the dirt. Man is in his image. Man is made of mud. Man gives in to gravity and oxygen and rust. Some call me Little Indy. Some call me by my Christian name. My name is Icarus. My name is Icarus. My name is Icarus. Call me by my Christian name, and some call me by my Christian name. My name is My name is Icarus. My name is Icarus. Some come on some call me by my Christian name. Some call me Little Indy. My name is Icarus. Thank you. Should hit stop or something else will begin to play momentarily. That would be bad. Thank you so much. Catherine, I'm so happy to be here for you tonight. Thank you so much for asking me to participate in this. It's so good to see you again. It's been such a minute, such a long time. I'm going to do something. I was going to do something on that, but I've decided against it because my guitar playing is really, it's just not right. It's really not fair to perpetrate that on anybody. So I'm going to give you an Irish folk song to end my little portion of the evening. Thank you very much. My young love said to me, my brothers won't mind, and my father won't slight you for your lack of kind. Then she turned her head to me, this she did say, well, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. She turned away from me and she moved through the fair, and I watched her so swiftly move here and move there. Then she turned her way homeward with one star awake, like a swan in the evening moves over the lake. Last night I did dream that my dead love come in, and so softly she entered that her feet made no din. Then she turned her head to me, and this she did say, well, it will not be long, Well, it will not be long. Well, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. Till our wedding day. Our wedding day. Our wedding day. Thank you.
This is Eliot Douglass. And I'm Philip Littell. And so, to my shock, surprise, delight, Katherine Williams asked for me to join this group tonight. And so the job, there's two jobs: to welcome Katherine Williams to one of her homes. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And the other is to try to delight her. So we're going to have a go. Tired butterfly, somewhere at the top of somewhere. Tired butterfly, simply had to stop and fan her wings and check a few little things in her compact. Where's that purse? The fact is, butterfly is high and butterfly is dry. Wants another drinky, would be nice. But it seems this place is out of ice. Sometimes life is hard for butterflies. A butterfly will cross the ocean to find a flower or two. But when her work is done, she wants to have some fun. Give me some dew and make it a double. Tired butterfly, looking for a bed. I'm afraid our little butterfly is going to have a head. God knows her life is short, but butterfly's a sport, isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. All covered in pollen, it's after the ball, and little butterfly's a mess. Miss Butterfly's a star, but it's hard to look the part if you've only got one dress. Tired butterfly did her level best. Now it's time for tired little butterfly to rest. Just a little nap. Tired butterfly. So, a little business, because this is the business. Katherine Williams. Well, it's in the program. It's a lot. And basically what's really important is that Katherine Williams is a poet of place. But unusually for poets of place, there have been many places. And Katherine was saying, I feel a little rootless. And I said, of course you are. Of course. You're not in South Carolina, where you are placed now. So come on up, Katherine. Let's talk a little bit.
Hi, Philip. Hi, everybody. Hi. I can't see you. I forgot that part of being here. Oh, gosh, I'm here. It's amazing.
Okay, what really, really fascinates me reading this book is that, first of all, it was a total shock to me that some of these poems were old. Third, I went, how many worlds are you in? And how did you get through them? And your experience of all of them is communicative. And I thought, this girl never stopped moving. And I'm going to coin a terrible word. Destinative. Destiny and destination. And I think your work is destinative because you never moved somewhere to go there. You went to each of these places and now have returned with purpose. And all these poems have this urge. Talk about place.
Okay, the poems cover a period of about, I think, 60 years, a little less, moving from Charleston to Los Angeles and back to Charleston. But before that, I was a Navy brat, and we moved all over the place. And when that's your life and you're very little, you hold on to place because there's nothing else to hold on to. And when I was like a fifth grader, we were like the first day in school, which was always murder for me. We had to write a description of ourselves, and everybody wrote about what the face looked like. And I wrote about all the places I had lived, fifth grade. So that's what the book is about. And I'm really kind of tickled to hear that you think that the places are well evoked.
Well, it's unusual. I'm a move-around kid myself. Mm-hmm. And when I was working with Conrad Souza, the composer, he asked me at some point saying, so where do you write from? Where? He said, I write from Pennsylvania. He was living in San Francisco, but he says he was solid. And I had a thought, and I went, I have no roots. Mm-hmm. And it's true, I don't really live anywhere, although I've lived here forever. But with these poems, I sense absolute belonging, absolute rootedness from each one of them. You're in Paris sometimes. You're in trouble a lot.
That's right. And so, I might let the poems do more of that. When you're moving around all the time as a kid, you probably know this if you moved around, you're starting from scratch with people, and you've got to size up people really fast. You've got to figure out who you can trust and who you can't in very short order. Sometimes they don't pick on you the first day, and you have to find out later that those are the ones that maybe are gonna not be so happy that you're around. And so I think you develop a real resiliency inside of yourself, and you internalize what you can. And the first thing you learn is your surroundings. And that's what's really going to help you and protect you, because you're not going to be there very long. But you might return and you might remember the streets, and that might help you next time. Kind of.
Now, you mentioned that it was hard to find home with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
trust.
it was.
But in our earlier conversations, I asked you, how did this start for you, writing? And you started to talk about how much support and inspiration you got from the community of poets here, from the activities of poets, even before you. Now, I mean, it still blows my mind that you went home when you received the commandment to write, and you wrote 3 questions. You're going to read it tonight. It's a mind blower. It's about walking straight into a vocation, straight into your gift, pretty fully formed. Yeah.
I'm so grateful that happened too, because you were talking about trouble earlier. I was a lot of trouble before I found this path. I really was. And when I got to LA, I had been in Charleston for almost 20 years and had grown up in the Navy. So let me tell you, it's a really cruel thing to be, to find yourself at the age of 15 in a place like South Carolina in 1970, where you couldn't buy garlic in Charleston back then. I mean, it was a backwater. And I had been to Paris and Madrid and lived in Italy, and it was just very, very hard. And in Charleston growing up, there really wasn't anything to do besides get really, really wasted and go find a tree to wrap your car around. And that's what there was to do. And so we did it. And if you weren't quite that self-destructive, there was always other drugs and sex and rock and roll. And that's what everybody did. And it was just crazy there. So what it allowed me to do, though, was find out a lot about death and a lot about misery. I mean, the South was a really miserable place. I think the reason there was such despair among young people, I mean, by the time I was 25, I knew a dozen people who had died my age. And of nothing, I mean, OD or car accident or bad diseases that they couldn't get treated. And I think it's because back then in 1970, it wasn't but 100 years after the war that tore the South to pieces, tore the country to pieces, but especially the South. And we still had not reckoned with the fact that people had been enslaved there their whole lives and cruelly treated, and that our economy was based on it, and that we were all complicit. And I think that desperation absolutely ran through the entire culture. People were dead inside. Not so much now, but back then you could touch it. It was so real. So that's, is that the question?
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Okay.
That's a great answer.
Okay.
I've got one more.
Okay.
Yeah. people don't talk about muses very often. And yet, you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I presume you've met the muse, and you have a history with the muse. And I'm going to give something away. Apparently, the muse showed up on this trip.
Yeah, the muse showed up on this trip. I've had a long dry spell that started with the demise of my marriage and went through COVID and blowing up my life and redoing everything. Oh, I remember what I was going to say to the previous question. Because I got here and I was at Self-Help Graphics listening to poetry, and I had been to poetry in galleries before. You know, there are like 4 people in the gallery and 8 poets, and it's all very polite and at this reading at Self-Help Graphics, Luis Alfaro and Jose Montoya and I'll remember more names in a minute, were there. And there were 100 people in the audience, and they were really in contact with those poets and with what they were saying. And it just blew my lid to see that and to understand that poetry had legs for other people the same way it did for me. And it wasn't a useless pursuit, and I should go for it. And the next day I sat down and I wrote 2 poems that lasted, one of them's in the book, and the other one lasted a long time. And I had sat down with my morning coffee at the computer and composed these poems, and then when I got up, it was dark outside. So it was like this epiphany where the Spirit came to me. And so I took these little works downtown to an open mic in front of Al's bar and presented them, and people dug them. So I was really encouraged. And the muses in the flesh in Los Angeles for me are many. You're one of them. Matthew's one of them. Brendan's one of them, which is why when I thought, how do I want my book to go? Who do I want to hear from? I mean, there are too many to number, but there are specific reasons why the 3 of you are really important to me to have your support tonight. So muses and epiphanies and much, much gratitude to the community of Los Angeles and to you and Matthew and Brendan. Is that it? Can I read now? Okay. So speaking of the community of LA, this poem, the poem I'm going to start with, is called Discourse. It's an argument in, it's like the LA voters, the California voters guide that the Secretary of State puts out. It's the argument, the counter argument, the rebuttal, and the counter rebuttal. Okay. And it's syllabic. It starts with 1 syllable, ascends to 11, and then dwindles back down and then resumes. And it's shaped like 2 birds in different directions, because that's how I feel all the time inside. Okay. I've heard it's pretty, this paved over swamp. I ask you, stinging gnats, kudzu enshrouded dogwoods, blue laws, debutantes, hundreds of miles between paintings, yellow dog conservatives, sewer stench befouling stagnant air. What about the Ventura Freeway in August at 4 miles an hour. The morning toxicity forecast. Art shows where we look for ourselves in the glass. Beach impetigo and earthquakes, you ask me. 90 museums, Venice Boardwalk, the Flower District, 86 languages, Korean soap operas, Malibu dissolving into red Pacific sunsets, that right at Topanga, Tom Waits at the Pantages. Need I go further? Sawhorse tables, bonfires, old surfers telling tales in raunchy Gaelic fashion. Over beer and oysters, we gathered beside herons, fishing the rank shoals of Mad Creek. Y'all, you can tell I'm a little nervous because I feel like dwarfed by the talents that have just come before me. So I'll settle down in a second, okay? Thank you. I have found the Los Angeles poetry community to be so supportive. Unusually supportive. Like, I was reading here in the open mic about 30 years ago, and Holiday and Sarah, like, clobbered me and pestered me to join this poetry workshop. And that really was transformative and changed my life. And this little poem is for Holiday, who got me started on this mad journey into, because what it was I felt like I could read the phone book and make it make sense and have meaning, but out loud, I mean. But that does nothing for a person's self-confidence when it comes to trying to publish poetry. So for Holiday, who's responsible for my education, and because she gave me the central image for this, it's called April Pacific. How beautiful the stars above the empty coast, shining in his mother's hair, red poppies stain night's empty coast beside the dirt road. Red poppies brush a white shawl fluttering on a dirt road in slow, chilly air. Her white shawl flutters, her eyes cloud over. Slow, chilly air stirs the madroñas. Her eyes cloud over under Scorpio's moon. Nothing stirs but the madroñas, poppies, and stars. Scorpio's moon wanders the scaffolded sky between poppies and stars, shining in his mother's hair, scaffolding the sky. How beautiful the stars. Thank you, Holiday, for that. Now I'm going to read 3 questions, because when I got here from South Carolina, I was so art-starved. I was really art-starved, and this is the second poem I wrote. It's in the book, verbatim. It just came out this way, and kind of anointed me for everything that's been to come and the many blessings of this really crazy decision to be to write poetry. 3 questions. Yo, Johnny, hey dude, did you get off? Peering through the thick blue haze of a badly rolled joint at the white line winding around that skinny Blue Ridge road. Trade in your usual breathless insults with the dude who survived, laughing in an explosion of sweet smoke and letting the cherry fall. You took the bait, and death took you on the ride of your life, rolling your Mustang into the bare dogwoods of St. Valentine's night, Johnny, rolling you right into the bony arms of the champion of your solitude. In the final adrenaline rush, Johnny, did you get high? God, Janet, you were such a bitch. How bravely you twisted against the choking corset of Southern womanhood, painting them ugly-ass paintings and making the rent on your back. I know our men out there are pretty conventional, but did you have to go kissing that tree? Death lurks in the trees. Anybody can see him out there beckoning in the swamp lightning, in the headlights, but sorry, I need to start that again. Anyone can see him out there in the swamp lightning, but only the desperate see him in the more warm primordial mud offering the ultimate seduction. Janet, I needs to know, was death a good fuck? Oh, Bonnie, honey, you chased and flirted with death so much. Dope, tequila, cigarettes, violent husbands, and fast cars. You never expected death to turn and notice you the way he did, huh? Courting you long and hard and steady, and with the confidence of a true Romeo that ultimately he would take you. And now that you finally had his interest, suddenly he didn't seem so sexy anymore. And you resisted his force like a palm tree in a hurricane, your lovely fronds and coconuts all gone, and with death hotter than ever for a bride without vanity. Did you finally marry for love, Bonnie darling, in the end? Okay, so Spike. This is for Brendan. I heard Brendan's the first poet I heard after my epiphany. He's this beautiful freak with this fearless imagination and electrifying presence. I'm so happy, Brendan, that you put this whole whack job together. Thank you. This is Spike. Hardly a day goes by that I don't think of the spike in my head, I remark over coffee. Exactly. You look at me as if I have a spike in my head. I could yank it out, but I can't resist braiding it with pearls and satin for a night out. Working construction, I wrap it with a purple bandana and stick pencils in it to complement the cleated boots. Before I got my spike, I was much shorter. Besides, turning my head gives a radio signal. And now I even get satellite internet. Where once I had nothing, now I have a tower. Don't slurp your coffee, you tell me. Let it cool off. Brendan. Crazy. Motherfucker. Okay. When you're from the South, you grow up hearing like everything laid out before you in terms of God and the devil. It's God and the devil. Okay, so this one's for Matthew, whose record by the Clear called Refrain helped me not be quite so ashamed of my disastrous girl-head affair with Jesus Christ. Did I just say that? That's terrifying. Tell me. So this is the title poem from the book, and I think the book, as I understand it, kind of staggers wandering toward resolution, and that's what the title poem does. And it's blasphemous.
Amen.
Matthew, this is for you. His high-fired hoof prints sgraffito the mud where he pulled over on the blind curve 6 miles back to take a leak in the sage. All you doubters go and look. Put your fingers in the wounded earth. You don't hear the acrid odor of eggs in your mouth. The Devil's '59 Chevy convertible has a bad muffler and a headlight out, and stickers reading, "Beam me up, Scotty," and "Kill your TV." The travelers he's after don't thumb rides. He wants the ones stuck in the house, sick of keeping their crayons inside the lines, whose crayons move without their hands, whose hands fashion shadow puppets while their crayons are conceiving purple children. Human frailty, he muses, could be summed up by the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. The devil has a wild love for the broken world. He cranks the AM radio up loud when the tuner hits, "You light up my life." Baptists look so trashy trying not to dance. He's an iambic dancer, nimble hoof and club foot. The devil's face turns wistful, almost tender in the dashboard's greenish light, as he ponders asking God for a reconciliation. He closes his eyes and prays. "Dear God, see that faux eyes up at the ramp? What if I bring her over to your place instead of mine? How about we exchange a few pleasantries over a burnt offering? I'd be glad to pick up a little blood on the way over. Amen." He envisions, thank you, he envisions a future his old nemesis cannot imagine, given the prophecies and all. The devil will repent. God will repent. And they'll move back in with Mary and Jesus and work out their differences. Looking for a clearer radio station, the devil runs his heap off the road. Back at the curve, his ceramic hoofprints fill with rain. Matthew. I hope that's okay. I'm probably going to go to hell. I'll probably see Matthew there. Okay, there's a lot of surfing in the book. We're going to pivot here and do a little surfing poem, because surfing, frankly, is the first thing that saved me from a life of trouble. The title of this is "What is Danger?" It goes like this. Far from the beach, she sits on her board, catching her breath. Sandy wax strafes her sunburnt skin. A set arrives, gone the battles over rent. No more O-Chem final. Which one killed her little sister? Why Bobby left? Fuck it. Just the shape of her hands as they knife clear water. Just aching traps and rhomboids. Just her sleek challenger skimming the surface. Just breathe. The first peak feathers as it thrusts forward and crashes. Letting it go, she feels afraid. Some guy catches the second wave late, pearls. His board tombstones, the taut leash recoils. His fins are catapulted toward her, so she turns turtle. A giant section calves above her. An iceberg of tiny bubbles fizzes her blistered skin. Her lungs burn. Her arms and legs hold tight, tight around her board. Yeah, that's, okay, thank you. That's all. This is for Judith. Judith, thank you. I call Judith my Jewish mother. Because, okay, this is the first in a series. Philip asked me, that's what I wanted to say. I was going to answer all his questions in the reading. This Kyoto Protocol is a really tight, formal poem based on haiku by the great Japanese poet Basho. And he did a lot of poems about cuckoos, which is Japan's national bird, I think. And while I've been here, I've had the muse come and visit me because I've had a monastic experience by myself in an Airbnb in Santa Monica on the street I used to live on. And I've started writing again after a long, hard time. Kyoto, and this is the first in a series. This one's old, but I'm not done with it. The haiku is, even in Kyoto, hearing the cuckoos cry, I long for Kyoto. It's called Kyoto Protocol. Even in August, there is now wildfire. In spring, rains will take whatever remains. Kyoto calls us from bygone times. Hearing Kyoto, everyone stops and turns. The fires are a small state now. Cuckoo's eggs roast in foreign nests. Cry for help, cry for mercy. I scan the river, a trickle on pavement. Long ago we were warned. For 100 years we flew into the sun. Kyoto, we did not stop and turn in time. Y'all are a wonderful audience. See, it's fantastic to bring this book back here to launch it. I'm so grateful. I want to read a poem for a colleague of mine from Charleston who has moved out here to Lancaster. She was going to try to come, but instead Lancaster is a far place, but there'll be other times. This is for Yvette, who's watching on Zoom. I got to tell you a little bit of setup about this poem. First of all, maybe a trigger warning, because this is a white lady reading a poem in the voice of a Black kid. And the text came to me as a composite of many voices about a practice called seeking. The Gullah Geechee people of South Carolina send children out into the wilderness to meet God and find their guide before they can be baptized. So this is called Crossing, and I read it in all the humility I can muster. I'm sorry I can't quote the people whose text I lifted for this. I looked and looked all over the internet, and it's not there anymore. Crossing. Stripping my life of comforts, I begin. One cotton shift, no shoes. Sleep on the ground, eat black bread, drink water. At sunrise, I kneel in the clearing to pray. I wear a knotted cord around my head to signify. My chores, my only break from prayer. I do what Mama said and come straight back. My cord says, no talking to this one. Alone in the wild with the spirit and the book, I dream only God and the ones who lead me toward him. Bare feet, cotton shift, black bread. I find a rough pine branch to talk to. My echoes sing me, the book, the light. Oh, my guide, be revealed to me. I am alone, but not alone. See me along my journey. See into my dreams. My child, do you not green with? So fiery and waving, so time, where we eclipse, never fall sweet. So speaks my guide, and I understand. heron track, white-tail buck speak also, rough stick, black water. I do not cross until I have my name. When the bright image, who will know me once I have been given the dream? I was a girl. I am not a girl. I do not know what I am. I walk into the river, the song, the book, the light. Thank you. This is for Richard, teacher of teachers. It's a sonnet. A poet takes his girl dancing. The fastest substance in the universe is light, at times less stuff than circumstance, although it is the stuff my other hands are made of when they aren't made of glass. Your dress was cool and silky to the touch as I waltzed you through that plate glass window, more light than substance. Bloody hands and elbows, but we didn't care so much, since we're not much, but carbon, gas, a circumstantial spark. By night, plate glass is blacker than your dress, but not by much. I always have loved glass, loved you, cool, transparent in the dark. The slowest light, cool, black in our hands, sublime, as we broke through together that last time. This poem is for Amelie. This is about surviving damn near everything, which Amelie has done. And even in spite of many challenges, she has always been there for the rest of us, Amelie. Like me, Amelie has the three crazy artists who preceded me in common. And I hope that what this crazy experiment that we did tonight, from a variety of approaches, shows the healing power of art. Whisper, ashes, night. In the taxi home, your date whispers, cinder-voiced, never mind the ashes, we won't be needing any stars tonight. But tonight, there's not going to be any night. Orange haze billows pungent whispers, and at your gate, cinders hiss, becoming ashes. Hellish odor, burnt breath of ashes, your loom, the Rothko, mom's papers. Tonight, no difference between scream and whisper. Darkness gone solid, reddening your eyes. Whisper, dragon, Icarus, phoenix, into the ashes. Proceed into illuminated night. Let's go have a fellowship.
One more round of applause for Katherine, please. And for Brendan, and for Philip, for Eliot, for Matthew. Thank you so much for coming. We have books for sale in the bookstore. Please do buy them, stick around, have a drink, and just hang out for a while. Thanks again.